Peace, everybody. It's Montahana with Beyond Clouds. I'm outside today. I don't know how the recording is going to sound because I am not the only one up. All the little birdies and everybody is up doing their thing, busying themselves, and it gets a little bit noisy sometimes. But if you are watching this, that means that I have already published on the Beyond Clouds blog the letter that I promised. I promised that I would put up the fraudulent letter that the Ramapough tribal chief sent to the medical examiner the day after Two Clouds was found dead, and that I will also make public the police report, but that I wanted to, like break it down and put notes and stuff like that to it. I'm a busy woman. I'm a mama, a grandmama, I'm a nurse, I got these 2 organizations. I'm busy. So I've been working diligently to get this done. But within the letter, these ants, within the letter, I link to this extremely important document that is online. And it is the RMI HOA signed settlement agreement redacted. This is a settlement agreement between the Ramapough Mountain Indians and the Ramapough. So there's the Ramapough GH, that is the tribe, and then the Ramapough PO, which is just like the non-Indigenous people up there. The way that the whites spell Ramapough is RAMAPO, and then the tribe spells Ramapough RAMAPOGH. So this is between the Ramapough tribe and the Polo Club, which is right across this little like street, and they share that area. What you will find online is redacted, but the only thing that is redacted is the amount of money that was paid to the Ramapough from the Polo Club, as well as the bank that they use, whose name is on the account, and all the routing number and stuff like that. So anyway, this document is 15 pages long, but only the first 7 pages is the actual settlement and the details in it. Thereafter, you have like the signatures of the 2 representatives from the Ramapough tribe who signed, and then the representative from the Polo Club who signed. And then you also have like maps and stuff like that and diagrams of the land. Now, the very important thing here that everyone needs to understand is that the land that they are talking about is the very land that Two Clouds fought for and saved when he first came up there. That's when he first started fighting for them. This land, 13.9 acres, that was gifted to them by the land developer who owned all of that area, and they developed the mansions and stuff up there. This piece of land really is really like the crumbs because it floods there, and so can't put houses right there, whatever. But the guy, in good faith or whatever, gave the land to the Ramapoughs back in, I think, the 1990s. And so the Polo Club wanted that. They wanted that land, maybe only because they didn't want the Ramapough there, but they wanted that land, and the chief, incompetent as he is, it is what it is, incompetent as he is, was about to lose it. And the reason why my son started fighting for it is because when he first went up there with the intentions of getting to know the people and the language and stuff, because his great-grandfather took his family and fled from there down to North New Jersey way back in the day. And so he went back up there and, wanted to learn about his people and stuff like that. And so the tribal chief, knowing how he grew up, as a revolutionary and stuff like that, was like, yeah, these white people trying to take our land, and it's our ancestral land and stuff like that, and nobody will help me fight for it. Nobody in the tribe will help, and blah, 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 blah. And so Two was like, I'll help you. And he did. He got the land back. He secured it for them. He would not leave the land because it was all types of troubles that, and woes that was afflicting the tribe, and my son in particular, because he's the one who was there like day in, day out for over 2 years. And through winters, through them shooting at him, through coyotes coming through, him not knowing if they're going to attack him and all that kind of stuff. Two Clouds was the one there, and the one and only reason why he ever left is because the chief forced him to leave, and he was thoroughly pissed off about that. I know he was. I'm the one that drove 3 hours down there in my van to come and pick up his stuff, which alhamdulillah I did that because most of his things were stolen after he was killed, or murdered I should say. And that's really the only reason why we have a lot of his, or some of his important things he had, because I came down there to get his stuff. But and this is the same land where his body was found. So that's what we're talking about here. And this took place just a few months before my son's murder. So the first signature is March 31st, I think, 2022. And then the two Ramapough reps signed in April. So, settlement agreement is between the Ramapough Mountain Indians, Inc. et al. Is the plaintiff versus Ramapough Hunt and Polo Club Association, Inc. et al. The defendant. It's 7 pages long. I'm not going to read all that when you could go and do it yourself. But I'm going to start because I know a lot of people don't have the time or really just the interest to read all this legalese and jargon, right? So, this is the United States District Court, District of New Jersey. Civil number 2:18-CV-09228. Settlement agreement. The settlement agreement, henceforth the agreement, is entered into as of the effective date as defined below by and between Ramapough Mountain Indians, Inc., the RMI, and the Ramapough Lenape Nation, having an address of 189 Stag Hill Road, Mahwah, New Jersey, 07430. Collectively, the Ramapough is what they'll be referred to as in the document. On one hand, and the Ramapough Hunt and Polo Club Association, Inc., having an address of P.O. Box 575, Mahwah, New Jersey, 07430, henceforth the HOA. On the other hand, in connection with the Ramapough action as defined below, the Ramapough and the HOA are collectively referred to herein as the parties, and each a party. So then from there, they have the preamble, which goes into a bunch of whereases. Well, in other words, like because of this happened, and then because of this happened, and then because of this happened, and because of, so there's a bunch of whereases, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So again, the link is on the Beyond Clouds blog. You can click on it and look at that yourself. So then it says, now therefore, in consideration of the foregoing and for other good and valuable consideration, the sufficiency of which is hereby acknowledged, the parties agree as follows. And so then this is the outline. A. Settlement. As a condition of the below promises, the parties agree that neither is the prevailing party in the Ramapough action, and each party hereby forever releases, remises, and forever discharges the other party and its officers, officials, agents, employees, and past and present members against whom any action could have been brought, from the actions, causes of actions, claims, and demands, whether at law or equity, which are included or could have been included in the Ramapough action. It is expressly understood and agreed that nothing contained in this agreement shall be construed as, nor shall be represented by any party, their attorneys or their agents to be, an admission or determination of liability by such party, such liability being expressly denied. Additionally, it is further agreed that this agreement shall not be used by a party as evidence in any proceeding against the other party, except for any action arising from the breach of this agreement. I. So that was A, this is I. Monetary compensation. The parties agree that the particular quantities that constitute the amounts of the monetary terms of this agreement are confidential information as defined below. B. The HOA will pay the RMI a maximum of redacted amount in total monetary compensation to be paid as follows. C. The parties acknowledge and agree that because the relocation of the proposed access point and closure of the two current access points is an essential and material term of this agreement, without which the HOA would not have entered it, the entirety of the compensation is to be placed in escrow within 20 days of execution of this agreement and subject of the following. Redacted amount, payment within 20 days of the execution of this agreement. Redacted amount, payment upon opening of the proposed access point and permanent closure of the two current access points. And redacted amount, maximum payment upon production of receipts for permitting costs and payments to equal incurred costs. Oof. D. Ants and stuff. D. Wire payment instructions. Direct payment and payment by escrow shall be made via wire transfer to the bank account held by the Ramapough, with the details enclosed in Appendix I, attached hereto. Herefore, wire payment instructions. The parties agreed that the wire payment instructions are confidential information, as defined below. 2. Independent survey of Halifax Road and Bridle Path Lane. So, when you come onto that area, first of all, let me say, what they're talking about the access points. There are two access points that used to be there to get onto that particular land. The one, so when you come onto that road off of, I think that's Route 203, where the tennis court is, where the Ramapough College tennis court is, when you make that right or left, if you're coming the other way, and you start going down that road where you have to cross over the little tiny bridge, that is Halifax Road. When you make that first left to go where it used to be the entrance into that land, Split Rock, Sweetwater Prayer Camp, that is closed off. There are like small boulders there. And you were like wondering, like, yo, why did they like close off the entrance? You know, like a short time after Two Clouds' death. We didn't know why. And also, when I go there, I disregard that little fence they got there. It don't mean nothing to me. So I just go ahead on in. But there is a fence there now that it further closes off that entrance that was there before. So this is why, like, we didn't know that this is why, because RMI got paid off. And again, remember, this is what Two Clouds fought tooth and nail for all that time. He fought tooth and nail. This is what put the Ramapough on the map, because they were coming out doing news interviews and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, they were like, yeah, the Indians are fighting for their stuff. And then they go right on ahead, and the people that they were fighting against that whole time, they go on ahead and make a settlement with them and get money. So what was the point of fighting them to say that they can't tell you what to do with your land? That's exactly what happened. And I'm going to tell you, when, like I said, the tribal chief forced Two Clouds to finally leave when he was living in the yurt down there, Two was pissed off. He was thoroughly pissed off. He didn't want anything to do with the chief because he said he was kissing up and he was giving in. And, he said, like, what was all this 2 years for? Like, what was all this fighting for when you're just doing what they want you to do anyway and you're finding a way to, collude with them? So he was quite pissed off about that. And so here we are at that point. It was about maybe 4 years later when all this happened. And you can't see how much money they got paid, but it wasn't $2. So anyway, so back to this. A2. Independent survey of Halifax Road and Bridle Path Lane. Again, making that left to get into the old entrance is Bridle Path Lane. So A, the parties recognize the validity of the attached survey of Halifax Road and Bridle Path Lane attached here too as Exhibit A. That's down below on like page 9 or 10 or something. B, the parties' recognition of the validity of Exhibit A is without prejudice to their positions regarding the Ramapough's access to 95 Halifax Road. 3, access point relocation and permit application process. The RMI shall open an access point off Halifax Road in the approximate location identified on Exhibit B. Once the access point is open, the RMI will cease using the current woodchip drive on Bridle Path Lane, which will be permanently closed with appropriate landscaping within 30 days of the new access point construction. Once the new access point is open, the RMI will immediately cease using the access point next to the bridge. B, it is expected that the RMI will secure the required DEP and MAWA approval if necessary to conform with the applicable rules and regulations for the construction of the new access point off Halifax Road per the MAWA settlement agreement. There's really no access point there. Not that I see, unless you gotta say like open sesame or something like that. 4, tax-exempt status, Green Acres, and tax cases. A, the HOA will not file any administrative, judicial, or other challenge to the tax-exempt status of 95 Halifax Road, including but not limited to a challenge to any Green Acre status for a period of at least 9 years from the effective date of this agreement, provided that the RMI continued to obtain renewals of 95 Halifax Road's Green Acre status by the NJDEP during that period. B, the RMI agree not to unreasonably restrict access to HOA members to its Green Acres property in accordance with the New Jersey Administrative Code. Ooh, 7:35-1.2. 5, signs. A, the HOA agrees to remove the no parking signs identified as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on Exhibit C, attached here too, upon opening of the new access point on Halifax Road and closure of the currently used 2 access points. There's still no parking signs there, so I don't know what's up with that. B, again, I don't pay attention to them because whatever. B, if safety issues persist because the Ramapough members or their invited guests violating the parties' agreements prohibiting parking on or along Halifax Road and Bridle Path Lane on land owned by the HOA indicated in the survey attached here too as Exhibit A, the HOA reserves the right to reinstall the signs in accordance with Section 6B2. The HOA agrees with and shall not raise any objection with the Township of Mahwah regarding the placement of a Ramapough prayer sign on RMI property adjacent to the existing obelisk on 95 Halifax Road, as shown in Exhibit D attached. The parties agreed that all signs shall comply with applicable township ordinances. Let me tell you, this really infuriates me. I know I'm like laughing and smiling, but because it's really pissing me off. So, this entire thing is still the HOA / Polo Club telling the Ramapough, this is how it's going to be. If you have to be here, if we can't have the land to get rid of you altogether, if you have to be here, which the Ramapough, I'm down there routinely on that land. I never, ever, ever, ever see another Ramapough there. Like, never. Nobody's ever there. This is their prayer land. Nobody is ever there. For whatever reason, they're not there. So, and they weren't there before. Two Clouds would be there, but he wasn't even there like he used to be. He would come through, he would like camp out there and stuff like that. But there would be nobody else. He used to tell me how they used to like laugh and pick on him, some of them, saying like, you a real Indian. Like, don't you know we have houses now and stuff like that. And so all this stuff that is really being implied here, you would think that there are always like visitors coming and stuff like that, but it's not. In the early days when Two was fighting, yeah, people were coming out, they were having, gatherings and stuff like that. That we're talking 2016, just 8 years ago. 2016, 2017, part of 2018, here and there, like 2019, 2020. But by that time, it was sporadic. And, they would come, and it's not like any trouble was being caused. These rich white folks simply don't want no Indians there, and they don't want anybody else who is affiliated with them being there. So for what I knew, when they would come, when like visitors, the allies or whatever they want to call themselves, would come to the gatherings and stuff, nobody was over on the HOA property. They were always parked over on the land, like inside on the land, or if they were outside, it was right along, which is still Ramapough property. So it's not like they were ever on HOA property. They just simply don't want to see them. It's like, why do you exist? Go away. And then Two Clouds came and was like, fuck y'all, this is ours and we fighting for it. And we going to do what we want to do. If we want to pray here, we're going to pray here. You're not going to tell us how many people can come here when we say they can come here. You're not going to tell us what we can erect. You're not going to tell us anything, because it's our land. And we, as an indigenous people, have certain rights in this land. And we are going to uphold them, regardless of what you have to say. It was the other Ramapough who, and I'm not saying all of them, because again, there's like over 5,000 on the mugs. They're not all up there though. They're like all dispersed around the country and around New Jersey and stuff. But they were like pissed, first of all, at Two when he came up there, because they were like, you causing trouble and all this kind of stuff. We ain't the type, we don't give a shit about what white people say. So say what you want to say. But we're going to do what we know is right and what is ours. You're not going to tell us what we can or cannot do. And so, when he came up there and he wasn't scared, and they were like, we're going to fine you all these thousands of dollars every day, he was like, fine, we go to court. And they won every time. And I'm going to say to you again, a gazillion times, I'm going to scream this on the rooftops until I can't scream no more. Everything that was accomplished from the end of 2016 forward was because of my son. Period. Can't nobody prove otherwise, because that is a fact. It's a fact. And the proof should be, they never did it before he came up. Like when he came up there, immediately it was on and popping, like I said before. All these things happened because of Two Clouds. Two Clouds went and found the information, was able to interpret the information, and go before these court systems again. it's not rocket science, you know what I'm saying? But he had the heart, he had, he had the courage, he had the intellect, he had the charm, he was able to do these things. And so at the end of the day, what it seems to be, to me at least, you can tell me in comments or whatever if you think I'm off or don't have it or whatever, it seems to me that them fighting for this land and to have these rich white folks, because that's what they are, to have these rich white folks not tell them what to do was what? Only until they could get something out of it. You could tell us what to do, but you're going to have to pay us for it. Listen. And please, this is a little bit of a digression from the actual settlement, or a little more digression. Please, do not miss what is right in our faces. Two Clouds, who was a healthy, just turned 30-year-old man, black Indian, for all intents and purposes, he's a black man, but everybody up there knew Two Clouds. He's found dead in a river, which, like I said before, is really, it looks more like a pond because it's like the mouth or the basin of the river, sort of like what do they call them? Like a cove, kind of. And all around it are these mansions. So this black man is found dead, who everybody know is Two Clouds. Everybody know is like the Two Clouds, who used to speak out against the Muriyd Police Department as being racist, who used to dare the Muriyd Police Department to step foot over that fence onto sovereign land if they wanted to, and they never would. I'm talking about like 10 cars of cops, hands on guns, and this little dude saying, don't come over here, this is sovereign land and you're not allowed over here. So they couldn't come over there to arrest anybody, anything, things like that, who fought in court and got not only that land, which is worth millions of dollars, but he also fought in court and got dozens and dozens of more stolen land from Muriyd. Again, millions and millions and millions of dollars of assets that the Ramapough now have. Along with that, he inspired other people who own land to feel, empathy and feel bad for the land that they own. They bought fair and square. They didn't steal it from anybody. They bought it. But he inspired them to give back land to the tribe also. Again, millions and millions of dollars of assets. They even offered to give Two Clouds land for himself, for him, his family, his descendants, and he wouldn't take it because he said, the land don't belong to me, it belongs to the people. Like, if you're going to get a land back, it goes to the people, not me. Like, thank you, but no. Two Clouds. So he's found dead in the water. His unflippable canoe is flipped. He has no shoes, fully clothed, phone and everything in his pocket. There's no proof, there's no evidence that he killed himself, which is something that the murderers tried to say initially. And some other people, some of these idiots who they get caught up in this whole Indian fantasy, including Indians, get up into this fantasy. Oh, he was so distraught about what is going on with the tribe. I think he really might have. Fool, shut up. You might be weak like that, but my son was not. We are result-oriented people. So if this ain't going right, let's try that. So, but there was no evidence of suicide. There was no evidence of any medical emergency at all whatsoever. Something else, the murderers and other people who don't know what they're talking about to this day are trying to push. But there was no evidence of anything being wrong with his heart. There was no evidence of anything, respiratory distress, no nothing. So, no medical emergency. There was no proof, no evidence that there was an accident, a boating accident. Furthermore, you all know I have a video where I called the Mad River Canoe Company and asked them myself, is it possible for a 16-foot canoe to flip over? Which, incidentally, is specifically made for whitewater rafting, Class C. Class 3. Which means it can take on crashing waves, big rocks hitting, logs underneath, all kinds of stuff, and not flip over. But it flipped over on calm river water that is like Two used to wade through it sometimes and only came up to his calves. So there's no proof of that or nothing. He's pulled out the water in the middle of a mansion community and nobody says anything. No newscasters come out, like nothing. And again, I'm going to say to you, Two Clouds is known to people. Mayors, chiefs. No chiefs came out to say nothing. None of these so-called activists who claim to be MMIW, MMIP organizations who knew Two Clouds personally, nobody's saying nothing. The HOA and them not concerned, like, oh, what happened here? No one's concerned. The tribal chief seems to have a little concern, but he don't tell the cops, he tell the medical examiner. And when you look at the letter and read it yourself and then read what I have to say about it, because, you know, y'all don't know all the nuances of what was going on behind the scenes. Nobody said anything, did anything. Rich people. Seem a little fishy to me. But anyway, so these are the things that's going on here in this settlement. So number 6, parking. A, before and after the new access point is open, the Ramapough, did I already say this part? No, I did not. Before and after the new access point is open, the Ramapough will maintain on their website instructions that those visiting 95 Halifax Road should not park in or along Halifax Road or Bridle Path Lane on land owned by the HOA. Again, that land is not owned by the HOA. The RMI will further actively manage the prohibition of parking on HOA property. B, representatives of parties. Each party shall maintain a designated representative whom the other party may contact for purposes of parking issues, whose designation and contact information shall be kept current. If the HOA or its members have any concerns regarding parking by Ramapough or Ramapough guests, the HOA's designated representative will contact the Ramapough's designated representative. That's important. And I'll tell you why in a minute. 1. So B1. As of the effective date of this agreement, the HOA designates Wayne Richmond to act as the HOA's representative and the Ramapough designated Eileen DeFries as the Ramapough's representative for purposes of parking issues. Any representative may be replaced with a new or successive representative through notice by email or text message, provided that there is no indication that the notice was not received. 6B2. The HOA retains the right to place no parking signs on Halifax Road and Bridle Path Lane. The HOA shall not place no parking signs on the RMI side of the Halifax Road or Bridle Path Lane unless safety issues persist. And then only after good faith communications regarding those safety issues between the parking representatives. All other issues, if any, concerning the parking on the RMI side of Halifax Road or Bridle Path Lane shall be resolved between the parking representatives. I'm going to let y'all read the rest yourselves. That was page 4 the top of page 5 I just finished. So, why is that important? So, according to the tribal chief's fraudulent letter to the medical examiner, alhamdulillah, the HOAs parking representative, a representative who's supposed to be, you know, the watchman for parking issues, called the Ramapough's representative. Why? Two Clouds' car was again inside on the land. Any of y'all who ever been up there with him knows where he used to park his car. Right when you make that, you come down Halifax, you make the left onto Bridle Path Lane, and then you go into the old entrance right there. He will park his car most often right there on the right where the trees are. So you have to go in a little bit, and then he will park his car. That's where his car was when we went down there the day that they found him. There was zero reason for this dude, HOA's representative, to call them. And then it says in that letter that he said he saw the car there 3 to 4 days. So what? It's not your property. It's not HOA property. Why are you calling? Again, it's because they don't want any signs of Ramapough people there. They don't. And so, because Two Clouds was the only one checking these cats, they feel like, oh, we don't want to see this here. We are a residential community. We have this image. We have that image. We don't want to see one mere car on this huge plot of land under trees is bothering us. And it's this nigga Two Clouds. It's bothering us. So he called down. And then the chief, they say in the letter that he confirmed over the phone with Eileen that, yeah, that's Two Clouds' car. And then he says he assumed that Two left the car there while he went away. Why would he think that? Let me tell you, the last time Two Clouds left one of his vehicles in the woods while he went away was like 1.5 years, 2 years before that. And they torched his van. They torched it. He had important books in there. He had important documents in there. He had clothes, jewelry, all sorts of things. And it was torched. That van looked like a little skeleton at the end. There's no way, there's no reason why he would have left his vehicle. Why would he have done that? How was he going to get to where he was supposed to go? Also, if he was going to leave anything somewhere, again, why would he leave it in the woods after he was in another part of the woods with his last vehicle and they torched it? But also, knowing that it was just cause trouble when he have to hear their mouths, he wouldn't hear all of that nonsense. So if he was going to leave it anywhere, it would have been left up there at the tribal office on Stag Road, where it would have been out in the open. People could have seen it. There's camera there on the tribal office. It would have been safer if he was going to leave it. But of course, we know he didn't leave it because he took it up to Mashpee when he went up there over the weekend. So when he was away. And so, you know, he came back on Saturday. He came back on Saturday, went silent late Sunday morning. Nobody could find him. We didn't know where he was or anything. And then his body turned up Wednesday. And I also have a video that I told y'all somebody sent to me a long time ago in the beginning, and I just held on to till I felt it was time to show it. But was there on the land. The boat is there in the water, flipped over, which tells you just how shallow that water is. You can still see it. But the boat is there in the water, and the person just happened to be panning across because it's beautiful land. It was panning across. There's nothing there. You don't see a body on the shoreline. There's no body starting to rise out of the water. Again, that water is not very low at all. I mean, not very high at all. There's no smell. We're talking about July weather. So yeah, it's just. And again, what I think I forgot to mention a few minutes ago when I was saying like the state that he was found in, yet nobody nobody's done an investigation or has even mentioned it. And again, we were not even given a detective to look into it. But They also found no water in him, like at all. There was no, according to the autopsy, there was no liquid found in his lungs, around his lungs, no water in his abdominal area, no foam. Drowning victims tend to have this foamy substance in their mouth and in their nose. His nasal passageway was clear. There was no debris or anything, no dirt or anything from what he would have, inhaled from the water. There was no, oftentimes drowning victims, because they're like spasming and stuff, like because they're trying to, again, this water, all he had to do was stand up. But and he found this out when he came up there at the very beginning. He didn't know how to canoe and stuff like that, because we from the city. He didn't know how to canoe in anything, so he was in the water and he fell out of the water. Fell out of the boat into the water, and he panicked, and they were laughing. They were telling him, like, just stand up, just stand up. So he stood up, and like to the end, we used to laugh about it every now and again, because he felt so stupid that all he had to do was stand up, but his mind told him to panic. And he had to buy a new phone and everything, and we still used to laugh about that. And after that, he and the water were like friends. Like I said, he would walk through it. He would let women and children, because he was that type of dude, they would let women and children sit in the boat while he pulled them behind and stuff like that. So yeah, it wasn't high enough for him, for anybody to, I guess, have to go through all the drowning stages. But most often when people are drowning, because they are, the movements and stuff they're doing as they're drowning, the soft muscles in their neck has trauma. And even their spine, there was like none of that for him. They kept saying that, oh no, he fell out. Well, the one primary murderer in particular, the one who is on that audio that I made for y'all, he came with this whole scenario that Two Clouds was drunk. No, I'm sorry. Two Clouds had a heart attack. He fell down from the heart attack. He hit his head on the boat. He fell in the water and he drowned and died. Which I'm always like, y'all got a whole lot of scenarios for people who weren't there. Were you there? That's what I'd like to know. And I know because if you weren't there, where are you getting all this information from? And why do you believe them over me? Or do you really believe them over me? But also, the chief told me, because I called him. So if any of y'all follow me on Facebook and stuff like that, from the beginning, I was making videos. I've been making videos for years, but for this particular thing, I started making videos. And so Friday, everything that was happening at the funeral and at the ceremonies afterwards and stuff like that. And then by Sunday, I knew for certain that the dude who is on that audio, that he did it. I knew for a fact, and I cussed him out and everything. As well as the girl who he mentions as Keisha on the audio. I cussed her out too that day. Because it became evident that they were in cahoots with this whole thing. And then by Sunday, one of Two's buddies, I met him and we had a discussion. And so that was Sunday, 2 days after. And so later that night, I went and made a video calling out the chief and saying, different things or whatever. But then my friend called me and was like, you need to take that down because you're going to get somebody hurt. At the time, we thought there was some real warriors among them, and there were not. But, so I took it down on the strength of that because we didn't want to get nobody hurt or whatever. But then the next day, I'm the type of person, I ain't going to sit back and keep coming up with this scenario, coming up with that one. I'm going to come to you. What's up? So that's what I did. I hit up the chief, and he told me, because I said, you ain't come to the, not only did you not call me, you did not come to the funeral, nor did you come to either of the ceremonies directly after the funeral, which was right up there on Stag Hill Road at the tribal office and down on the land at 95 Halifax Road. He didn't show up. And so I was really pissed the fuck off. Excuse my French, but I was. And so I confronted him about it. And he was like, no, I've been in the house. I had to be quarantined. I've had COVID and all that. Still ain't mean nothing to me because you ain't sent a representative to speak for you either. So whatever. Even though somebody said to me, well, like, no, well, he sent Owl. Owl is the guy who signed the letter. Supposed to be a lawyer. So he was like, well, he sent Owl. Owl ain't do shit, first of all. He just stood there over in the corner, not saying nothing, looking all like hurt and depressed or whatever, with his head hanging low, which is his way. I remember in the early days especially, too, used to cuss him out because he was like, Batman! He's so mad. Then he like went and apologized when he realized like dude is like a lot older than he is. But he just has this really weak thing about him. But even in the last days, Two wasn't digging him because of some other stuff I ain't gonna say here yet. But so yeah, Chief told me that that's why he didn't come, because he had been quarantined in the house. Well, then if you quarantine in the house, how you got all these scenarios about what might have happened, and how you got the scenario that Two Clouds fell out of the boat drunk? Because he started saying that afternoon. So according to the police report, they came and got my son within a 10 o'clock hour, which apparently they don't have the 911 transcripts. There's a whole lot of stuff here, y'all, I'm telling you. So they said that he was, they came there at 10 o'clock hour to get him. And by the time I got the word, none of the Ramapough hit me up at all. The chief didn't hit me up. The tribal women didn't hit me up. None of the council people hit me up. Owl ain't hit me up. Like, all these people have my number because, of course, I'm my son's emergency contact. Always has been, and vice versa. He was mine. Nobody hit me up. Finally, my son's Two Clouds' son's mother texted my daughter. She ain't hit me up because she had been lying about all of us for 2 years. And saying we had abandoned my grandson. They didn't want to be bothered. But the truth was, she was pissed off because she couldn't bend him into submission to be with her, simply because they found out afterwards, after they broke up, that she was pregnant. And so she was pissed off and told him way before the baby was even born that if he didn't do what she said, she wasn't going to allow him to see the baby. And because I ain't raised no punk, he was like, fuck you, right? So 2 years, she lying about us and everything, saying we didn't want to be bothered with the baby, which was an absolute lie. Always has been, even now that she's took him away from us again. I didn't meet my grandson until the day after my son was found dead. And again, she's taking him again because I asked her to please keep him away from my son, his father's murderers, and she told me that was too much for her to deal with, and she had to step away because she's trying to grieve Two Clouds. So she didn't hit me up. She had me blocked. She didn't hit me up. She texted my daughter and was like, have you heard from Muriyd? Because he was supposed to come and see, my grandson Sunday. He didn't show up. And my daughter sent it to me. And I immediately started freaking out because I'm like, no way. There's zero chance that he would not have gone to see his son. because one, he was souped for weeks that he was going to be able to go to a little kitty birthday party with his son. Soup. Two, the only reason that he was even in town was to do that one thing. Three, it took him 2 years to be able to see his son until he finally put down his foot and he said, whatever it is she want me to do, whatever she want me to say, I'm going to do it because I need to be with my son. Who knows? Inshallah. Maybe his spirit knew that he wasn't going to have time. I don't know. But nonetheless, that's what happened. So there was zero chance that he was not going to show up, knowing how this chick is, how she will lie, how she connived, how we knew. She was just waiting for one thing to not go her way, for her to take the baby back again. So there was zero chance. So I knew immediately something was wrong. And then right after that, she sent, like soon after that, she sent another text saying they pulled somebody from the river. And I just freaked out and headed out the door to Jersey. So this was about, I can't remember exactly, it was like 4:30ish, between the 4:30 time that Wednesday. And I jumped in the car, heading to Jersey, screaming, freaking out. In between, I'm like calling people, they answering, I'm screaming like, they killed our baby, you know, and they like, what? Everybody like freaking out. I called my dude, my best friend, who everybody knows as Two's uncle. I call him. So within this time, so we're saying it's before 5 o'clock. So that's like what, 6-7 hours later, after they actually pulled him out, or according to the police report. He hangs up from me and immediately calls the tribal chief, who says to him that Two Clouds was drunk and fell out of his boat and died. So, sir, where'd you get this information from? You've been quarantined in the house for days, according to you. Where'd you get this information from? And again, there's no assessment. This is just hours later. There's no assessment. Where you get this information from? And how come you have been adamant trying to push this? Here's the truth, y'all. None of them, because they didn't love Two Clouds, they thought that nobody loved Two Clouds. Terrible mistake on their part. They thought nobody loved Two Clouds. They were banking on this whole Indian fetish that people have, like, oh, Indians don't lie, they're not human beings, shit. They're spiritual, you know. They were banking on all that. They were banking on, oh, this is what the police said. There appeared to be no foul play when they looked around the trees and nobody was there days later. So yeah, I know he doesn't have on any shoes in the fucking boat that has mud all in it. No foul play here. So yeah, they just really thought nobody was gonna look. They thought I would just sit over in the corner crying, praying to some God, you know, asking for help, you know, just crying. And then I would get over it and keep it moving. They had no idea. I don't really know where they were thinking that Two Clouds got his courage and fire and intelligence and charm and all those things from. His daddy is the Ramapough, not me. His daddy is the Ramapough, not me. And I will challenge you to show me one thing where you have seen his father stand up and fight for him at all. Indicative. So yeah, anyway. This letter, y'all, this thingy here, y'all can go and finish looking at, but you know, I just really wanted to touch on some things, and of course I went on a tangent, but I just wanted to point out some things to everybody who may not be interested in actually going on there and looking for themselves. May not have the time, may not want to bother with it, but it is there, and the link is on the website. And please do let me know what you think. Peace.